You know, every single time you step on a plane, there's this invisible architect who has already designed your flight for safety. And no, they're not in the cockpit and they're not in the control tower. They're called Loadmasters. Today, we're diving into this absolutely critical role using a fantastic piece by Rob Kennedy from his AvGeek's Air Resident series, which is all about shining a light on the unsung heroes of aviation. Let's just start with this, because it gets right to the heart of the matter. This quote is about a real crash, and it is absolutely chilling. This is what happens when the math is wrong. This is the reality when that delicate balance of an aircraft is lost. Because up there, in the air, you don't get second chances. So, what is this job really all about? Well, at its core, it's about solving an unseen equation. It's this delicate, invisible math of weight and balance that allows a machine that weighs hundreds of thousands of pounds to just gracefully lift off into the sky. The entire job really boils down to managing one single critical point, the center of gravity, or CG. Just imagine it's the perfect balance point of the entire airplane. If the cargo, or the passengers, or even the fuel burning off during a flight shifts that point too far forward or too far back, well, the pilot can literally lose control. You ever been on a smaller plane where the flight attendant asks a couple of people to move seats? That's not random. That's a Loadmaster's calculation at work, right in front of you. This just says it all, doesn't it? Long before you find your seat, way before the engines even start to spool up, the Loadmaster has done their job. It's this quiet, careful orchestration of every pound on that plane. They really are the unsung heroes of every single flight that takes off, period. So we know how important it is. But what happens when that balance is actually lost? The consequences, they're immediate, they're devastating, and they're a very grim lesson in why this role is so absolutely crucial. In 2013, this is exactly what happened to National Airlines Flight 102, and the chain of events was just terrifyingly fast. During takeoff, a massive, multi-ton armored vehicle broke free from its restraints. It slid all the way to the back of the cargo hold, completely wrecking the center of gravity, and in the process, it severed the hydraulic lines that controlled the tail. From that moment on, the pilots were just passengers. They were completely helpless as the jet pitched up into a stall that it could never recover from. 7. That's how many crew members lost their lives that day. And this wasn't a mechanical failure or pilot error as we usually think of it. It was a failure of balance, a failure of load planning and securing that cargo properly. And the truly tragic part is, this wasn't some freak one-off event. Aviation history is unfortunately marked by these kinds of tragedies. You have cargo pallets shifting on takeoff in Miami, passenger weights being miscalculated in Charlotte, even live horses shifting mid-flight over Mexico City. The lesson, which has been paid for in lives, is always, always the same. Balance is everything. So who are the people actually doing this vital work? Well, the profession kind of splits into two main paths. One is super analytical, all computer-based, while the other is very much hands-on, right there in the thick of it. So on one side, you have the load controller at a passenger airline like Delta. They're in an office, crunching data on passengers, bags, fuel, putting it all together to create a precise load sheet. Then, on the other side, you've got the cargo loadmaster, maybe for a company like FedEx or UPS. They're out on the tarmac in the cargo bay, physically supervising, securing these huge pallets. One's a desk job, the other is, well, in the bay. But here's the thing. Both are governed by the exact same unforgiving laws of physics. Now, you might be thinking, a job with stakes this high must require, I don't know, a PhD in physics or something, right? Well, the path to becoming a loadmaster is actually surprisingly accessible. Let's take a look at how people get into this field. Okay, so there are basically three main runways into this career. A lot of people learn on the job, starting right out of high school with an airline or a ground handler. Others go to a technical college and get a specialized degree in aviation operations. And then, a huge number of them come from the military. Their experience loading everything from tanks to disaster relief under immense pressure that's incredibly valuable to civilian airlines. And these are the kinds of credentials they're going after. We're not talking about abstract degrees here. We're talking tangible, skill-based certifications in things like handling dangerous goods, official load control courses, and safety protocols. The whole point is that this is a career built on practical, verifiable expertise. You have to know your stuff. Now, here's a part of the story that I find really fascinating. This career is becoming a perfect second act for people from totally different industries who are looking for a meaningful change. Think about it. If you've ever managed a warehouse, coordinated freight, or worked in trucking, you already speak the language of load planning. Those core skills, sequencing, weight distribution, understanding that heavy stuff goes on the bottom, all of that translates almost perfectly to aviation. I absolutely love this quote from the article. It just nails the mindset shift you have to make. When you go from ground logistics to the air, the tolerances become incredibly, incredibly fine. It's not about just making it fit in a truck anymore. It's about precisely placing an item within inches to protect that center of gravity. That single piece of awareness is what separates basic logistics from aviation science. So where can you actually find these jobs? Well, the list is way longer than you might think. It is not just the big cargo giants like FedEx and UPS. Passenger airlines, smaller regional carriers, the ground handling companies that service the airports, and of course, government and military organizations all need these specialists. The opportunity is really, really broad. So what's the big takeaway for someone maybe thinking about this as a career? Honestly, the outlook is strong. The core skills of a loadmaster, we're talking precision, coordination, and just calm decision-making under pressure, those are uniquely human skills. They're in very high demand, and they are not something that can be easily automated away. And that really brings us to our final thought here. This quote just elevates the whole profession, doesn't it? It's not just about math and charts. It's about a deeper understanding of stability, of control, and of immense responsibility. It's about embodying a philosophy of precision that keeps every single person in the sky safe. So we'll just leave you with this question. In a world where so many jobs are becoming more and more abstract, the Loadmaster's role is a real, tangible craft. It's a disciplined, purpose-driven profession. So for anyone out there looking for a career that truly, deeply matters, maybe, just maybe, this is your runway.